The Bible says that when people begin to follow Jesus, that God gives them gifts. He gives individuals gifts, and these gifts are to be used to help start churches, to help other Christians or other followers of Jesus grow. My particular gifts probably lie in the area of evangelism or telling people about Jesus, and also maybe starting up new works, such as new churches. And so what I've decided to do is I've decided to, in Stockholm, Sweden, where I live, to go along the red line of the subway from what we call Bredäng all the way to Norsborg. There are 10 stops there, or 10 communities, and just doing that, telling people about Jesus, and then gathering these people and forming small groups where we have Bible study, we have time together, we share with each other the things that are going on in our lives. And these small groups, we hope to see them grow into churches. In Luke chapter 10, verse 5, there's an interesting verse here. It says this. It says, whatever house you enter, first say, peace be to this house. And if a son of peace is there, your peace will rest upon him. Now, one of the things we do with our church planting work is that we're looking for basically this son of peace in every community. As we go from Bredäng to Norsborg, we're praying and we're saying, God, show us who these people of peace are. Now, concerning this, what they call the Son of Peace, or let's call him the person of peace. Let's call them the person of peace. That sounds a lot better to me, because it can be a man, it can be a woman, it can be a young person. There's probably 3 things that we're going to be looking for as we meet this person. Number 1, they're going to be receptive. I mean, they're going to listen to the message, and they're going to receive it. They're going to begin to start following Jesus, just as we're following Jesus. But they're also going to be a person probably of a reputation. As you read the New Testament and you see how the gospel spread into certain cities, you start to see that this person is well known. It might be good, it might be he's got a reputation that's well known in other areas, but he's well known. He's got a reputation, and that opens the door for them, that person, he or she, to share with others. And also, they're going to be a person that can refer us to their friends. Their friends listen to them, and when we tell them the gospel, or when we spread this good news about Jesus, they're friends because they respect the person of peace. They're going to also listen probably to us and say, wow, that's very interesting, and my friend has listened to this, so I'm listening too. I want to hear what you have to say. Now, finding this person of peace is exciting, because I would say there's 3 ways of doing this. And the first is you go into a community, one of these subway communities that I'm talking about, and the first part we call presence, just being there. You're not going to meet anybody unless you're there. And that sounds pretty obvious, but there's a lot more to it than what you think. I usually go into stores, talk to people, I go into cafes, many different ways of finding that person. And I'm praying when I'm in that community. That's what we call a prayer walk, simply walking around the community and praying and asking God to show us what He is doing in that community. That leads me to the second one. First is presence. The second one would be prayer. You're praying, prayer walking, and asking God, show me the people that you're talking to in this community. As you walk by an apartment complex, I pray and I say, God, there must be people in this apartment complex, because I know you don't sleep and you don't slumber. That's what you say in your word. So there must be people in this apartment complex that you're talking to. I want to meet them. Introduce me to them, because I'm not going to know who they are unless you show them to me. And the third one, once your presence is known there, you're praying to God and asking you for the first. And the third one The third one we would call proclamation, simply sharing the gospel. If you're present and if you're praying that God is going to introduce you to the right people, well, you also have to start talking. You have to tell them about Jesus. Look for opportunities to talk to people and get to know them, and then tell them the good news of Jesus. And that's how you find this man of peace. Now, what do we do? What do we do once we meet this person of peace? Well, we begin to meet with them. It might be in their house, it might be in another place, but probably the home is the best place. And we want to get together with this person and begin to study the Bible together, begin to pray together, begin to discuss ways that we can tell their friends. If this person of peace has received Jesus and begun to follow him, well, we want to be able to tell their friends. And this process we call T for T, or training for trainers, okay? We're going to get together with them and we're going to start a process of discipleship where we begin to meet with them weekly, and they begin to grow in their walk with Jesus, and then we begin to find their friends and begin to share the same message with their friends. In Matthew 28:19, Jesus says an amazing thing to his disciples. He says, "Go and make disciples of all nations." Okay, go and make disciples of all nations. Now, there's three things in this that I see that is very, very important for the work that we're doing. The first is go, not come. So much of the time, we as followers of Jesus are inviting people to come to a meeting that we're having somewhere. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a wonderful way of doing it. But sometimes by doing that, we miss a lot of people along the way. So we believe that our job is to go to these people, find out where they are, go to the places where they are. So go, not always come. Now the next one is, he says, go into all the nations. So we like to think of to go, not come, and then all, not some. In other words, we want to speak to as many people as possible in the community, and not just the ones we think are interested, because how are we to know who that person of peace might actually be? God has to show us that, and so we need to speak to many different people from all different aspects of life. And the last point would be we want to make disciples, and not just necessarily a church member. Nothing wrong. In fact, a church member should be a disciple, but that's not always the case. So we want to make sure that we go, not come. We want to speak to all and not just some. And we want to make sure that in the process we see disciples made, and not just people sitting and listening, but people going out and reaching others.